Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we are doing the crossword for Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. So, on a day that is just a month away from July 4th.
That's right.
Did you do the crossword?
I did.
And did you do it independently?
Yes.
Good. And what do you think of this crossword?
Well, it was a little bit more of a challenge, I thought, than a typical Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I found it somewhat challenging. I was going to try, your trick of just going straight across, and I got as far as one across and then had to start going the other direction. So I didn't get too far in that. I mean, the first one across was going blank, and I can't remember what I had there, but it was not the correct answer, which was at it. Going at it. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then the one next to it, 5 across, clarifying words, that is.
Yes.
I was thinking like, I mean, or something, but definitely
Right.
didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
I did get 11 across, the student's concern in brief, GPA.
Well, I would hope so.
It was 3 letters. It had to be GPA.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there were a lot of clues that, no words came to me at all. Where was that one? Right in the middle there, 29 down. Gets darker, say, latens.
Yes.
I've never used latens in a sentence, I don't think. But
that is a completely separate word from late, right?
I assume so.
Because I am unfamiliar with that word.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was and remain unfamiliar with that word.
And 18 down, pastor's flock, lakes. I've heard laity, but
right.
I've never heard lakes.
It sounded like it was correct for some reason, but yeah.
I'm sure it is, but
Yes.
it's just a very unusual word that you don't just see.
Right.
And another one, 42 down, maligned, defamed.
Yes.
That's a tricky clue, and I mean the answer makes sense, but it's not just a word that popped into my head when I heard malign. I'm like, what could that be? So anyway, yeah, there were some puzzlers there for me anyway.
Right. And there were a few little few bits of pop culture and trivia. 50 down, host of the 2000 Olympics was Sydney.
That's right.
And then we had 49 down was resident of Japan's third largest city was Osakan.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure what Japan's third largest city. I'm assuming as largest as Tokyo.
Yes, I believe so.
And I wonder what its second largest city is.
I don't know.
Little Tokyo. We had 15 across. That was use a Sharpie on, perhaps. And I had mark up.
Oh,
but
that's a good answer.
Thank you. But it was the wrong answer. It was redact.
Redact, yeah, there's another one.
Yep.
We don't use redact a lot in everyday conversation.
Now, they did have 5 down. Chic modifier was tray, so that helped.
Yes.
So that gave you the first letter of redact. And then rope 5 or 6 down was hemp. That's pretty common. So there's a nice mixture of, straightforward clues and ones that were even, for a Wednesday, feeling a little on the tough side.
Right. I thought 10 was interesting, 10 down. The S of T.S. Eliot. We never talk about T.S. Eliot's first and second name, but it is Stearns. Stearns. T. Stearns Eliot.
I knew that the name was unusual. This was not a debut. It has shown up shown up a total of 10 times, and it's either something to do with a Bears counterpart on Wall Street once.
Bear Stearns, yeah.
Bear Stearns. Or it's also clued as the S in T.S. Eliot.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, the first time it appeared as the S in T.S. Eliot was in 1955.
Wow.
Ironically, by Harold T. Bears.
Okay.
That's spelled B-E-R-S, but for the sake of the joke, I'm going to pronounce it as Bears.
Interesting. Huh.
There was a theme here.
Yes, and that too was rather daunting. We've seen themes like this before, but this was I would have think rather challenging to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there were 3 themed clues. They had nothing in common on face value, but they had something very important in common. The first one was 17 Across, platinum-selling singer who co-starred in the films Moonlight and Hidden Figures, and that was Janelle Monáe. And then we had 27 Across, creature that might attack a small child, and that was Tickle Monster. And then we had 48 Across, homing devices, and that was ankle monitors.
Yes.
And the revealer shows you exactly what they have in common. 61 Across, what to do when life gives you the proverbial items hidden in those themed clues. And the answer was make lemonade.
Yes.
And if you look back at the clues, they all had the word lemon in them, which I thought rather daunting. And like I said, we've seen these before, but usually with shorter words, 3-letter words or 4 letters. But this was a 5-letter word that they were able to find 3 different phrases that it could appear in.
Right.
Janelle Monáe, Tickle Monster, and ankle monitors.
Yes.
I wonder if Janelle realized that lemon was in her name.
I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe she'll release an album called Allow Me to Make Lemonade. She was in Hidden Figures.
Mm-hmm.
Co-starred, so she must have been one of the main protagonists, I guess?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how many platinum-selling singers go on to a movie career, or at least sort of split their energy between the two. I think of Lady Gaga.
Right.
Right. I mean, she's got quite the acting portfolio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's true.
Let's see. Yeah. So that was an interesting theme. And as you say, there were a lot of sort of tricky clues. I did like 26 Across, Lion's Home. So I'm thinking, it's got something to do with a lair or a den. Oh, yeah. Because it was starting with D-E, but it was Detroit.
Detroit Lions.
It's like, those. Mm-hmm. Now, they also could have done Vancouver because we have the BC Lions.
Oh.
But that wouldn't have fitted. Mm-hmm. So, and we had 33 down was remark that may immediately follow an insult or a compliment. And it was back at you. I always wanted to say back at ya.
Oh.
That sounded to me like the correct response. Back at ya. Uh-huh. But it was back at you.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Just trying to add more slang into the New York Times question.
That's my job. 56 Across excels at school. I know we said it was gets an A, but boy, I look at that and think get Santa. Uh-huh. Need to learn how to parse that correctly. I did like how they had gets an A in the bottom left, and they had GPA in the top right.
Yes, that's very clever. I hadn't even noticed that, but yeah.
Wonder if they had any other sort of academic cluing here. I don't think there were any deans in the crossword.
No, I don't believe so. But,
so where I ended up, I had a lot of so I got the crossword filled out, but it wasn't quite right. One of my problems was 58 down, astrophysicist blank deGrasse Tyson. Oh. And I knew it was Neil.
Yes.
And because I wasn't sure about 65 Across list ender, at first I had, so 6 letters long, and at first I had et cetera, which I thought was cute. Uh-huh. But then I realized it had to be and I thought it was going to be et alia.
Oh. No.
And because et alia is, there's several different, people say et al, and they either mean et ali or et alia. Uh-huh. And so I had et ali, and I thought, it's et alia, that's fine. And so I had Neal, which I think is a spelling of Neil.
Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
And so that's where I was stuck.
Oh.
And I thought it's got to be et alia. And I thought it was so cute because they had 57 down. Actress Shawkat of Arrested Development. Her name was Aaliyah. So they had et Aaliyah crossing Aaliyah. Oh. And part of me was thinking, I'm surprised they let that go. And then I thought, maybe there's something wrong with it. And that's where I finally figured out, because, I was having trouble with 35 Across, King of Norway and Sweden from 1844 to 1859. That was Oscar the First.
Right.
Which I wanted to spell with a K. Because I figure, Norwegian and Sweden, they'll probably throw in a K instead of a C, which meant that 23 down, the Puccini opera was Tosca with a K.
No. No, that is wrong. It is Tosca with a C.
It could have been Tuska. Some sort of a toast to a music genre.
I don't think so.
Did you know 36 across, the only known warm-blooded fish, was an opa?
No. I thought, maybe it's orca, because I had the O. But no. Opa. I don't even know what kind of fish that is.
I don't know, but I bet if Oprah opened a restaurant,
No.
Oprah would sell opa. Opa by the boatloader.
Yep.
Let's see. And we had, of course, the proverbial 31 down, drink with a straw. So it's either going to be a soda or a cola. Now, if you take 31 across, which was shed tears as cry,
Yes.
that makes it a cola.
Yep.
But if you say shed tears is sob, that makes it a soda. So even that first letter didn't help. Eventually, it turned out it was sob and it was soda.
Yes, it was.
I wonder if Will keeps track. And he's got like a list of number of times that cola appears, number of times that soda appears. And so he'll check off today's as soda. And now the next one that comes in has to be cola.
Well, that's what I think, because wasn't the last one just a few days ago cola?
Yeah, but the question is, does he do this systematically?
I think he must.
You're right. I would imagine he doesn't have enough to do, and he's like, I'll just make up lists.
It's like, before I go home, I got to do the old soda cola thing.
And so some of the rejection letters read, we're so sorry, but you're going to have to change this to cola if you want to get it accepted.
We need more cola.
Yeah, that's right. we're cola shy, as it were. 53 down. 2-syllable woman's name that becomes a 1-syllable woman's name if you drop the last letter. And that was Joanne becomes Joan.
Yes.
That was brilliant.
That was. That caused me a lot of trouble, though, because I put in Jean, Jeane.
N. Oh.
But that last E didn't fit with the last clue going across, which was line up in a way, which had to be sync, because I had S, Y, and C. So anyway, I eventually figured it was Joanne, because I couldn't get 59 across, cool, in slang. And so I had D-E, and then a blank and an E, and I'm like, well, Del-E? I just couldn't think, but it turned out to be dope.
Yeah, I started with neat.
Oh, that's what I started.
That would have been the answer to cool in lazy slang or something. So Jean, Jeane, as a Jean yourself, I presume you're an expert on the spelling of this. Is there anyone who spells Jean like that?
Some people, spell
really?
it Jeane or Jeanne and pronounce it Jeannie.
Boy, that sounds like one of those things out of the Greek myths. You are doomed forever to have to spell your name.
Yes.
Push a rock up a hill or spell your name every time you have to do anything.
Oh, I always have to spell my name.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because they always want to start with the G. Jean. Oh, G what? I said, no, Jean.
Right.
But they always want to start with a G.
Well, I want to spell my name Mnike and then explain that the N is silent. Or maybe I wonder if I could legally put an emoji as a letter of my name. M smiley face Ike. I'm gonna see if
sound like those celebs.
I'm gonna. That's right. Yes.
That are naming their children numbers and strange combinations of letters.
I'm gonna head right down to the Wisconsin Department of Unusual Names and see if they will accept M smiley face Ike. They had 54 down. Film portmanteau, if formerly, was OPDOC.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
It is something from the New York Times. It's like instead of an op-ed, it's an OPDOC. It's a video commentary, and they have a whole series that's been going on for years and years.
Why is it called an OPDOC? What's that a combination of?
Well, like opinion, instead of op-ed, instead of opinion piece, opposing the editorials, this is an op-doc because it's a documentary.
Oh.
but it's got the same point. It's just like we want to provide some alternative opinions, but this is a documentary rather than an ed piece.
I see. Okay.
So.
Interesting.
And then we had 55 down, divine medicine per the Greek physician Paracelsus, and that was beer.
Yes.
I bet that is on the Wisconsin state flag. The Greek physician Paracelsus lifting a stein. If it isn't on the Wisconsin flag, it should be.
Divine medicine.
That's right, divine medicine.
I bet, I'm sure there are many Wisconsinites that do believe beer is the divine medicine.
Yes, officer, I'm not drunk. I'm merely following doctor's orders. All right. I think that is it for today.
Okay.
So thanks, everyone, for listening. Hope you're enjoying these podcasts. Let us know, crosswordpodcast at iCloud.com. Please leave us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening to us. And we will be back again with our cutting-edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword, which may involve a rebus. Just be ready for it. We'll be back with that tomorrow.
Bye-bye.